Let's give it some time. All right. So, good evening, everyone. I know we have close to 91 participants. So, first and foremost, I would like to say thank you for spending time with us tonight. And I hope that, from my story, you get inspired and you get to rethink, about what you want in life. I think the fact that you have joined today, um, for one, I think you should be grateful because somebody invited you. And then two, I think that there's something probably in your life that you're rethinking. So I hope that my message today will strike the chords, and that there's something that you can take home with you after the session. So let's begin, okay? I titled my presentation Unlimited. My last name is Limitares, which, by the way, in Italian means to put a limit. Um, I just learned that I think last month because I just researched it. But really, the title of my presentation is Unlimited because I do not want to be constricted, right? I do not want to be limited. I believe really that we define our own destinies. We really chart our own paths, and then tayo yung magdedetermine on what we can achieve in life. So simulan natin, okay? Um, I want to talk about me. Who am I? So first off, I was born and raised in Zamboanga del Sur, in a small town. So I am Bisdak, Bisayang dako ko. So shout out to all of the Bisayas who probably are joining. Can you type in the chat if any one of you are from the Visayas or Mindanao? There you go, Bisdak. Okay, Miss Nonet. There you go. So a lot of us guys. So um, oh, Mitis also. Yeah, I know Mitis is from Bohol. So I am from Zamboanga del Sur. I come from a small town, and also Crystal Joy. So Bisaya Cayetano. So I come from a small town. I was born and raised in Zamboanga del Sur. And the second picture, you'd see me there with my brother. Um, I am the eldest in the family, so I have three other siblings with me. So I'm the eldest. But I was not really born into a rich family, and I'm not gonna consider us as poor. Also, you know how it is, right? In the province, and back in the days, in the province, back in the days, you really do not get to feel so much the divide between the haves and the have-nots. So I think at a young age, I really did not feel like we were poor. But then I think growing up, I realized that we probably kind of fell into the have-nots category. So those are my parents. As you can see right there, they are hardworking individuals. So my parents have always been self-employed. So my mom and my dad, they venture into a whole lot of businesses just to be able to help raise the family. I learned hard work very early at a very, very young age. And these are pictures of some of the businesses that my parents have done, which also meant that, me being the eldest, I also did these, right? So number one, I remember my father driving a jeepney, a passenger jeepney. And then I'm not sure if you would believe it or not, but I actually had to be a conductor. So I've tried. Na-experience ko po paano maging conductor sa jeepney. I wasn't very, very good at it, but it was an experience nonetheless. We've also tried as a family engaging into buying and selling of metal scraps. So we have like a junkyard that also I helped out with. And then the last two pictures I probably would say are the businesses that have stuck with us for a long time. As you can see, yung picture to the right hand side, that's dried fish. So I remember growing up at a young age, um, like during summer, for example, or during weekends, wala kaming losot. Like my classmates, they would just be at home. They would be resting from school, and then they would be like just playing during the summer. But in our case, especially in my case, since I'm the eldest, wala, nandun kami sa palengke kasi meron kaming pwesto. So magbabantay ako at magbebenta ako ng daing or dried fish, from morning until afternoon, actually until evening. So that's the kind of life that I got used to. I did not really like it because like in my mind, I was like, why do we have to do this, right? Whereas yung classmates ko, hindi naman nagtatrabaho. Relax, relax lang. But like in my case, kailangan talaga naming magbanat ng boto. That's how we were taught. Hindi din pwedeng humindi kasi palo ang katapat mo. So that was my life. And then the last one, as you can see there, that's a habal-habal. Um, I'm not quite sure what inside it, but I remember that the last business that my parents had that kind of sustained me through college was really a bakery. I'm not gonna call it a bake shop, but it's a local, yung local rural bakery. So maaga pa lang, around 4 a.m. gigisingin na kami ng parents namin. O gising na, kasi tutulong kami sa pagmamasa. We would make bread and would sell that as early as 5 a.m. kasi yung mga kapitbahay namin nakalinya na. So ito yung mga pandesal na worth 1 peso each. And then at about 7 or 8 a.m., what we'll do is we will load the habal-habal with huge baskets. We call it bukag in Bisaya or Cebuano. We would load them with lots of bread, on both sides. And then hindi naman ako yung nagda-drive because I was young then. But my father would hire a driver. Pero ako yung mag-i-in charge. Ako yung sasama doon sa driver. And then ako yung magbabahay-bahay, magtitindahan-tindahan. Like from one store to the other, we have a certain area that we covered to be able to sell bread. So that was my life, when I was young. So at a very, very young age, I got so exposed to working very, very hard. Again, it was our life, right? We did not have a choice, and that's just how that was how our living was. And then moving forward to college, so I actually graduated magna cum laude. I went to Mindanao State University in Iligan, and I was actually a multi-awarded college student. So as you can see there, that's a picture from my yearbook. So I was the president of the student council for the College of Business Administration. I was also the editor-in-chief of the university school paper, and I had a lot of other engagements, so to speak. So medyo sanay po ako even at a young age to really multitask. So I think from a young age, education has been very important for us because my parents would always remind us, now, Dennis, you have to study pretty hard. Someone might have to go mute. Okay, so we'll continue, but if you're not talking, your phone on mute. There you go. Thank you. So as I was saying, education is something that we really value sa bahay. Kasi nga, hindi naman kami mayaman. No? So my parents would always say, education is the one thing that they can leave as legacy for us. And it's the one thing that once we have, hindi mananakaw sa amin. So tumatak yun sa akin. I've always been like, you can probably say a straight A student. I graduated valedictorian in high school. And then even when I was in college, I graduated magna cum laude. I also, even while working, I actually finished a degree, a master's in business administration. Next is I work with concentrics. And for some of you who are familiar with concentrics, please give us a thumbs up or maybe just type in Y in the chat box. There you go. So Alan, Kin, you're there. I'm not sure he invited you. Okay, so I know Kin. We used to be workmates before. John Del Rosario. I think that there's a couple more folks. Okay, good. So guess what? I still actually work for Concentrics down to this day. So may pasok pa ako mamaya. I have a night shift. I think like what Argel said, luckily I'm one of those few that are able to continue to work from home. So I've been with Concentrics for 14 years and running. I still continue to enjoy working for Concentrics. You'd see right there in my bio, in my career progression, that I actually started at the very bottom. So 14 years ago, nagsimula ako just like how everyone else starts out, as a customer service agent. Over time, I was able to move up of the corporate ladder. So I became a product trainer, and then I also became a quality analyst, naging operations manager din ako, and then I became a senior manager for client services. And I'm highlighting that because that was the point in time when I joined Philam Life. And then right now I work as a director of service delivery for a really large US telecoms account. And then in my working with Concentrix, I've actually at least been moved to three locations, three permanent locations. So the first one is in Cebu, actually where I started. And then you would see me there with my teammates, batang-bata ko pa dyan, yung first picture, ako yung nasa bottom left-hand side. And then I also moved to Bacolod. That's where I spent a good 6 months before I eventually got assigned to Manila. So those are just some pictures of my life back when, you know, Concentrix was still called Converges. So the second picture was me doing training in India. I got sent in India to facilitate training there. And then some more pictures that I'll show you. Oops, let's see. This one works. All right, so this one is my team in Converges. You know, back when I was an operations manager in Bacolod, Marie was saying I was so payat. Yeah, I was really, really thin during those days. So this was me back in the day in Bacolod. This was like my operations team. I enjoyed my time with operations. I've also developed relationships with them. And it was fun. It was stressful. It was challenging, but it was fun. And then I'll show you two more pictures. These are the more recent ones. So the one to the left-hand side is me. You would see me in like parang peach pink polo. That was me as a senior manager for client services. We were sent to the US and we actually won as the top supplier for our client. And then the picture to the right with me wearing blue is now me working as a director for service delivery for Concentrix in Makati. Okay, and then you would also see my clients there in the picture. So in addition to that, I am married. So that's my lovely wife right there. I do love to travel. So, you know, both solo or with my wife. So those are the places, some of the places that we've been to. And then I enjoy the outdoors. So I do like, you know, mountain climbing. So, and, you know, just being adventurous, just being outside. So those are pictures of me being in Pulag, Taal, as well as in Sagada. So I think that the big question that you might have is, how did I become a financial advisor, right? So paano ba ako nagsimula? Because I've been with Philam Life for 3 years now, okay? And I still am very active with this advocacy. So you might be asking, how did I become a financial advisor? So I'd like to begin by saying that at that time, this was back in 2017, I think around March. I was a senior manager for client services, and I was very, very bored with my career. Okay, I was bored with my career. I was on the roll, I think, for about 3 years already, because I relocated to Manila in 2014. So this was 3 years down the line. I was already starting to get bored. You probably noticed that I've moved up, you might say, pretty quickly in my career. I did not really chart it out. I did not really map it out. Ako yung type na mag-a-apply lang ako for a job because nabobored ako and I just want a new challenge. And there was, at this time, I was like watching a lot of TEDx talks. I was, and I was even thinking about doing like a travel blog. Actually, I started with it. I had about like 4 posts, but hindi ko siya na-continue. Hindi siya vlog, but blog, okay? Sa blog, sa WordPress. And then at this time, like what I said, I was very, very bored. I was watching a lot of like TED videos. And then I came across this video from Emily Wapnick. I actually don't know her, but the title of her TED talk was "Why Some of Us Don't Have One True Calling." Okay, so she spoke about how, like, for example, as young children, like how we have different interests, right? Like now you might like English, the next month you might like science, you might like math. She also spoke about how, like, as individuals, we have like different gifts, and not just different gifts, but even multiple gifts, multiple talents. And I realized na o nga naman, no. And then she also segued into saying that the tragedy with life is that as we become adults, it seems like we're boxed into one description, like employee ka lang. You know what I mean? Like okay, I was a senior manager, yes, but that was it. You know, primarily that was how my career was defined. I was nobody else. And then so this was the talk that really, up until this day, I would say was a life-changing moment for me, because this really was served as like the turning point. Parang doon na established, because she spoke about how you can actually achieve many things at once. Like, how can you be multiply intelligent, excelling in the many fields or engagements that you do. And I realized na, oh nga no, because back when I was younger, I used to do a lot. Like when I was in college, I was so busy. I used to, lead the student council. I used to I used to be good in journalism. I used to be involved in like religious organizations. I used to, host activities and hold events. Parang when I started working, it seemed like all of that was gone. I was just stuck with my work, with Concentrics, which and I'm very, very grateful for. But there was really this void inside me, this void that just could not be filled. And I knew that I wanted to do something more. I knew that I wanted to achieve something more. I just didn't know what it was. Okay. And then moving forward, I think about 2 months after, no, I think a month after. So it was timely that within Convergys back then. So we changed payroll systems, we changed bank, and so I was forced to visit a bank. And then what happened was, while I was there, so the bank representative talked to me about investment, and in that time I was really looking to invest some more. Before I joined Philam Life, I already actually was investing. So may mga UITF na ako. Even when I was still like in college, I already had like accounts dun sa co-op sa school. And even at a young age, like meron kami sa bahay yung parang makeshift na parang piggy bank na pinupuno ko, and then I would open every December so I could buy like my stuff for Christmas. But I was looking at something that's more institutional. So this bank representative na present siya sa akin, and then I was not really happy about how she did it. Parang I could feel like parang gusto niya lang magbenta. And then I asked her about the projections on the account value, and then I felt like I could even do a better job explaining than her. So I talked to my brother about it, the one who is based in Japan, Armak. And then he said, you know what, why don't you, Manoy, he said, why don't you talk to my financial advisor? So this is where Karine came into the picture. So Karine is that gorgeous, we call it gorgeous lady right there, who was the one who recruited me, and who is also my mentor up to this day. So Karine and I met, she presented, she went through the product with me, and I don't know kung anong pumasok kay Karine, but I'm very grateful that she actually popped the question, and then she asked, sir, do you want to become a financial advisor? And then that time, kasi nga di ba bored ako, kasi gamay ko na yung trabaho. So sabi ko, it's okay, I mean, why not? Diba? Parang let me explore that, kasi I felt like I had nothing to lose. Then, at that point, I would really say that I discovered my 3 whys, okay? So, my 3 whys were, at that time, number one, I wanted to acquire new skill set. Kasi nga, medyo bored na ako sa work eh. And I was looking at sales as an area to probably just get some basic knowledge and experience on, kasi I did not have sales background. I was very, very scared about sales, but in my mind, I realized that, you know what? Sales is a life skill set that you need. Like, politicians need to sell their campaign platforms, right? If you're an investor, you need to sell your idea so that you could get investments. Even if you're a child, you need to kind of sell yourself so that bibigyan ka ng baon, or your parents will support whatever demands you have, right? So I realized that practically everything is a sales activity. And then I thought, sige, kung hindi man ako maging successful in the field, being a salesperson, at the very least, if I can acquire the necessary skill set, to me, panalo na ako dun eh. So sabi ko, sige, that's fine. In my mind, naisip ko, baka real estate, hindi pumasok yung insurance. So hindi talaga siya plinano. But like what I said, Karine popped the question, and I'll tell you what happened in a bit. Pangalawa, this is what Argel kind of alluded to earlier. I was looking for an additional income stream. So I was already earning well with Concentrics, but the reality is, when you are an employee, whether you are the top employee or Petix employee, right, you actually still get the same amount of income, right? And I've been very interested in increasing my income, not more so increasing for the sake of increasing, but I was very interested in the concept of how do I generate additional income streams for me, whether active or passive. So for those of you that are interested also to have more income streams, please type Y in the chat box to say yes. Tingnan natin sino yung gustong magka-additional income stream on top of, there you go, Argel, Kin, Maricon, Grace, Jeng, marami tayo. Okay, very good. And in my case, I really did not, I wasn't comfortable yet. I wasn't comfortable, leaving my job. Obviously, like to me, it's a major leap, right? So I went part-time, and I'm still a part-timer now with a full-time advocacy. So that was my next why. And the third why was really raising financial awareness, right? I really wanted to take this not as like a job, but really more as a personal advocacy. So if you ask me what hit the message home, and my simple answer to that is Noah. Okay, so what or who is Noah? So I told you earlier that I'm the eldest in a family with 4 siblings. There's 4 of us in the family. I have 3 younger siblings. But if you look at the picture, and if you might have noticed, dalawang kapatid ko lang ang nandyan. So yung kapatid ko na lalaki, si Armac, and then the only girl in the family, si Disa. In between them, we actually had a 3rd sibling. His name is Noah. Okay? So si Noah, siya yan dyan. So that's his graduation picture after graduating from high school. Medyo naluluha ako actually, remembering this story. You know why? Because okay, I think I might have been disconnected, but let me just go back to sharing my screen. Okay, so let me just go back. So what hit home, what hit the message home, right? So like what I told you, it really is my brother. Hey guys, can you type in yes if you can still hear me? Okay, there you go. All right, so I am sharing my screen back up. So sorry for the technical difficulty, but I was saying, so what hit the message home, right? So it really is my brother, right? My brother Noah. So that's his picture when he graduated in high school. Kasi si Noah, at 17 years old, during his first year in college, he na-aksidente siya. So he was a victim of a hit and run accident. And I'm not gonna go into what happened to him, but basically this was like the lowest point in our family. He was, in the ICU for 10 days. At the end of the process, namatay din yung kapatid ko, right? He went through like 3 operations, 2 operations in the brain kasi nagka-brain hemorrhage siya. And then this was like really the lowest point in our lives as a family. Kasi sa pamilya namin, walang mga issues like third party on my parents' part. Hindi naman kami yung parang may mga MMK na story, but this was probably it. And that time, parang yung sabi ko nga sa Panginoon, Lord, grabe ka naman kung makapag-testing. Parang kailangan ba talaga buhay pa ng kapatid ko? So my brother was in the ICU for 10 days. And that time I was very, very mad. I think for the first time in my life talaga, I was really, really, really mad about what happened, about who did it to my brother, about the whole situation. And then ito yung time na nalugmok talaga yung pamilya namin, because although my parents are very good savers, the fact nga na, di ba, galing kami ng probinsya, so they're not really very familiar with investments, or they're not very financially literate, so to speak. So my parents had savings, but lahat yun naubos. Nakautang-utang pa kami. That time I was already working in Cebu, and then I had, I maxed my credit cards out because I had to help cover the medical expenses for my brother. And like, I think the worst thing was that my mom was parang went into a mental depression. It took us about a year actually to be able to recover. That time, I'm not sure if you would believe this, but obviously wala kaming health insurance. My brother was not my beneficiary kasi my parents were my beneficiary because I was working and I was single. And believe this or not, kahit PhilHealth wala kami that time. Okay? So just imagine how much we spent, right? How much we spent. 10 days sa ICU. My brother went through 3 operations, 2 brain operations, and how much that cost, right? So, and I realized, and I would always look back and I would always share this to people na iba yung stress ng pamilya when there is an emergency or a critical illness or an accident. Iba yung emotional stress if that's the only thing that you have to contend with. Pero kung stressed ka pa financially because like hindi mo alam kung saan kukunin yung pampapagamot, and the reality is when the doctor tells you and the doctor gives you the bill and says, you know what, Mr. Mrs., this is how much the operation will cost. Quite frankly, I'm telling you guys from experience, hindi mo hihindian yan. Kahit alam mo na pikit mata mo na lang sasabihin, sige doc, whatever it takes to be able to bring my brother back to life. Ganun yun eh. As family members, hindi mo matitiis na sabihin na, no doc, labas na natin sa ICU kasi wala na kaming pera. Diba? Move na natin sa ward or sa private room. No, I'm telling you from experience, that never happens. When you are stuck in that situation, lahat talaga, parang manghihiram ka, gagawin mo lahat, you'll ask for help wherever because at the end of the day nga, you would want to be able to save your family member. This is a really sad story. You know what? From the moment that I saw my brother in that ICU bed, he never opened his eyes. So his eyes were like half closed. And then towards the end of the day, after 3 operations, wala pa ding nangyari. The doctor said, you know what, Mrs., Mr., your kid is not gonna survive. You have to make a decision. So we decided to cut the life support from my brother. And you know what? Who was there? Because my parents could not face cutting the cord. And there has to be a family member, right? With the nurses. It was me at 21. So at 21, I already saw death. The death of my brother. My parents did not even see it kasi hindi nila matiis. You know what I mean? So my parents, like, they could not even bear seeing like cutting the cord. Cutting the cord. But I had to be the one to be there at 21. I was the eldest. And then, ang daming, parang you're managing everything. You're very young. And then this happened in a place that hindi sa probinsya namin because we studied in a different province. So that was how very, very tough it was. And then, so when, I think going back to my story, when Karine talked to me about being a financial advisor, and then when I had my interview with Ma'am Nina, and then when I went through a training, and then I realized, you know what? Parang, life insurance is very, very powerful. It's very underappreciated and undervalued. And actually, naalala ko, it was great. I was grateful because kahit papaano yung student council sa university where my brother went, meron kasing yung parang group insurance for students. So, because namatay yung kapatid ko, nakapag-claim kami. But if nabuhay yung kapatid ko at nagbula siya, hindi kami makakapag-claim because it was not part of the coverage. But then I realized that was a bit of a help. And then, again, when the invitation came, and then I realized that, you know what, this is such a powerful product, something na talaga can be life-changing, whether for the good or for the better. In our case, it was really for the worse. Then sinabi ko sa sarili ko, you know what? I'll take the challenge on. Kasi alam ko that many people look down on insurance agents. Aminin na natin, di ba? Probably some of you do. I did. Alam ko yan. And then second, sabi ko, parang if it means that I become the instrument for my friends or for my family members to actually get themselves protected, get insurance, so that what happened to us as a family did not happen to others. Sabi ko, I'll take that on. So yun. So parang when I look back and, you know, as I do this, I always have to be reminded, and I get myself reminded that si Noah talaga, kasi kung tutusin, kung income lang, parang pwede naman sigurong hindi na. Okay naman yung income ko. Up until now, okay, mas nag-improve yung income ko because I got promoted last year. But I still do this. You know what I mean? But you know, I always have to remind myself na that's probably the big reason. I don't know, maybe it's one of the reasons bakit din nangyari dun sa kapatid ko. Because I asked up until this day, and to be quite honest, hindi pa rin nasagot yung tanong ko sa Diyos kung bakit kailangan mangyari yun. But you know, it is what it is. We've moved on. But I'd like to carry that message, and that's something that I always kumbaga tell, you know, and share to my clients. You know what? This is what happened to our family. It could have been a different story, diba? Probably hindi ganon ka-sad, but you know, it is what it is, right? And this is where I would really say financial literacy, insurance, they are true life changers. Okay, so let's just take a moment and breathe. That part of my story, I just don't readily share to anyone, and quite frankly, I think kayo pa lang, because like not even my siblings, kasi yung siblings ko were not there. So during this entire struggle, during the hospitalization ng kapatid ko, kaming tatlo lang. Ako, si nanay ko, tsaka yung tatay ko. Kaming tatlo lang. Nung namatay na yung kapatid ko, si Noah, we had to bring him back to our house, back to the province. And that's when my siblings kinda saw already what happened. So kumbaga na-shield na sila from all of the struggle and all of the heartaches that I went through. And like what I said nga, like even my parents did not like see kind of death face to face, but I had to, because I had to be there. And then down to the cutting of the cord, to the last minute, I was praying to the Lord, give me a miracle. Sige naman, baka naman tumaas pa yung, alam mo yung machine that shows the heart rate, baka naman bigla-biglang tumaas, but no, it just flatlined all the way through. And when the plug was removed from the switch, yun na. Okay, so that's really, you know, my story, right? That's really, parang to me, that's my biggest why. Bakit ko pa din ginagawa yung pagiging financial advisor? I had a lot of challenges, and I'll segue into those. Okay, so these were my challenges in the beginning. So number one, my wife. Bakit nyo sinasabing challenge yung sa wife ko? Because my wife did not support what I was doing in the beginning. So ayaw niya na mag-insurance agent ako because she was being protective about me. Kasi alam niya na people could potentially look down, right? She was like scared, you know, people might avoid you because they might feel like peperahan mo lang sila, kukomission ka lang sa kanila. Number two, like what I said, I did not have any sales background, but in my mind, that's exactly what I'm doing this for, right? And then going back dun sa wife ko, how did I overcome it? Paulit-ulit, you know, I would talk to her every day about insurance because I was very inspired about it. Up to a point na parang sabi niya, alam mo, nakakainis ka, palagi ka nag-insurance. I think that there's a powerful message in repetition. So eventually she got tired with it. We had a couple of fights in the beginning because that meant lesser time for her in the beginning as I was still building my client base. And then the third challenge that I had, and I still have up until this day, is really, you know, people's bias against insurance. And alam ko to because even ako mismo, though we had a bad experience, or a sad experience in the family, I still kind of like, siguro I think it's more about finding finding the right financial advisor. You know, alam mo yung financial advisor who truly lives the mission, who truly does the work because they sincerely want to help you, but not because gusto nilang kumita. My fourth challenge, like what I shared with you, is when I started as a financial advisor, I've only been in Manila for 3 years. So 3 years lang. I did not have a natural market. Wala akong kakilala actually sa Manila kasi nga, di ba, Bisaya ang dako nga ako. And that's why I showed you kanina pictures of like where I started, because you could probably follow that I started in Mindanao, moved to Cebu, and then Bacolod, and then here I am, you know, announcing to the world or to the Philippines that I'm going to be a financial advisor without a natural market in Manila. My fifth challenge was I was shy. And you might, you know, some of you might not believe it, but I was actually shy. Down to this day, mahiyain pa rin po talaga ako. I would say I have, you know, this quiet confidence within me. And then before, I was very introverted. Siguro medyo nagbago na lang because I had to learn how to adjust. I had to learn how to be a bit more sociable, so to speak. Pero dati, my mom and yung kapatid ko magrereklamo kasi sasabihin nila sa akin, Manoy, yung kapitbahay natin nagrereklamo kasi ang snub-snub mo daw, hindi mo daw sila kinakausap. And then in my mind, I was like, what business do I have talking to them? So that was how I was, you know, before Philam Life. And I was very socially awkward, you know. I was very socially awkward. Na-improve na lang yun because in the course of me doing the advocacy with Philam Life, as well as, you know, continuing within my career with Concentrics, I had to learn about how to deal with people around, what the social mannerisms are. And also, this is, you know, the challenge and remains a challenge for me. And I'm sure maraming mga nag-join sa today, both who are I think wanting to become financial advisors or exploring the career, or maybe are even existing, who are part-timers, right? So the challenge always remains in place. Like, how do I balance my career? For example, if I'm a full-time employee, with another job or another advocacy, you know, like how do you balance that? So those are valid challenges. And in my mind, you know, there is this quote from a book, one of my most favorite books, which is Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist. Ito yung palagi kong i-remind sa sarili ko, right? Like sometimes panghihinaan ka, many times actually nakakapagod. Many times I would question myself, Dennis, ba't mo pa ba ito ginagawa? Kaya mo pa ba? Gusto mo pa ba? Is there still value in what you do? And I would always just remind myself. I would always just remind myself this quote. You know, like when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. And true enough, nangyari siya. Okay, and I'll share to you later some of my wins here in Philam Life. So what worked for me in overcoming these challenges are these, but I'm not gonna go into details. So I actually have a presentation which I usually share to co-financial advisors. It's entitled Road to MDRT. And I have there like my 15 pointers or tips. Kung napapansin nyo, actually yung acronym niyan is my first and last name. It's Dennis Limitares. But we're not gonna go into the details today. Probably once you join us with Philam Life, and then, you know, if I get invited to speak to you and share how I became MDRT, I can discuss this to you in more details. But essentially, MDRT stands for $1 Million Roundtable. Okay. Again, MDRT stands for $1 Million Roundtable, and it represents the top 2%, I think top 2 to top 6 of all financial advisors in the world. Okay? So, pag sinabing insurance agent ka, pag sinabing MDRT, parang that's the badge of excellence. And then in my case, I did not want to settle for less. Okay? I was aiming for MDRT, and I got MDRT 2 years in a row. I did not have to drop the ball with my work at Concentrics. As a matter of fact, even to my big surprise, na-promote ako last year. And then I was able to actually meet MDRT qualification 2 consecutive years in a row. So many of them will say, I'm a part-timer, but with full-time advocacy into the mission. And I always challenge myself, right? I always challenge myself. I always challenge myself and like tell myself na I'm not just gonna resign. Kasi to me, parang I'm just gonna be replacing one job for the other. And if I do that, then I have to be MDRT, diba? Kasi yun yung standard eh. But in my mind, I was like, I feel like ang mangyayari sa akin would be, I would be taken to that point when I got bored again. So in my mind, I wanted to challenge myself. Dennis, challenge yourself. Kaya mo ba siyang pagsabayin? And you have other commitments to kaya mo ba siyang gawin? Back, kind of remembering how I did it in college. And, I'm very glad na nagawa naman with lots of hard work, lots of hard work, a dose of strategy and bias towards action. And I'll share to you some of the best practices that have worked for me. Okay. So number one really is I would label these tips as FSA. So I'm kind of big on acronyms. Lumalabas yung pagka-trainer ko. So first one is really focus, right? So for those of you, and this even applies to your personal life, this even applies to your personal life. I would say you have to have a vision board. You have to have a goal board. So na-remember ko, during the first year that I reached MDRT, meron akong yung parang goal sheet na pinagawa sa amin ni Miss A. It's in front of my bed. So pagising ko sa umaga, it's the first thing that I see before I go to sleep. It's the first thing that I see, and it says there, Dennis, you have to be MDRT by I think that was November, and the first time I did it, I was able to beat my own record and met MDRT ng October. So it's very, very important to visualize it. Okay, so have a vision or a goal board. That way, you're always reminded of your focus, of your goal. And then number two, and I'm keeping this, kind of simple and basic, is really to surround yourself with like-minded individuals. Have a support system within your family. And then in my case, I'm very, very privileged actually that I became part of North Star unit under Mamina and then Starbright Agency, because I think it's just the right individuals that have helped me to actually improve in the work that I do. So let's, if you're still with me, type in F in the chat box, please, which is our first step. There you go. So Jack says F. Thank you, Jack. Jack is my secretary, by the way. AC, Jeng, Jerica, there you go. Jonathan, and everyone else. So, again, my number one best practice for you guys is F, right? Focus. You need to have focus. How do you stay focused? Number one, have a vision board, have a goal board. See it every day, breathe in every day. Number two, surround yourself with people that share the same goal and that share the same interest. So, kumbaga, if you want to be positive, then you filter out yung mga negatrons sa buhay. In my case, I had to kind of even do it subtly with my wife. You know what I mean? Para I had to manage that piece. The second strategy, the second best practice with how I overcame my challenges is number one, really strategy. Kasi understand that I am a full-time employee with a huge responsibility in my shoulder, right? But then gusto ko pa ding mag-MDRT. I want to be in the likes of like Karine, Othello, Grace Star Committee, and all of those. So how do I have a strategy? So number one, you need to have a tracker. Have a tracker. So you need to track what your activity is. Naalala ko kasi nung college ako, di ba I told you I graduated magna cum laude. First year pa lang ako, second semester, alam ko na magmamagna cum laude ako. As a matter of fact, kinalculate ko na, paano ba ako mag-summa cum laude? Sabi ko, kaya naman, kaya lang hindi ako magiging active sa mga activities. Sabi ko, magna na lang, para I can still work on other stuff. And that's the beauty of having a tracker. So, I'm an analytical person. So what I did was, yung MDRT goal, that's big because we're talking like what, 2 million or more in premiums in collections, right? But when you think about it, when you break it into chunks, and then you know what you need to deliver on a monthly basis and what you need to deliver on a weekly basis, and then what does that translate to in terms of activity, yun na yun eh. And if you track Um, if you track, if you track what if you track what you need to do, then basically you'll be very much on goal. Okay, you'll be very much on target. So, are you still with me, guys? Pa thumbs up naman sa chat. Are we still good, Argel and DJ? Let me know if my time is almost up, so I can fast track.
Hi.
Thumbs up.
Hi,
Okay.
Dennis. Hi,
Hey
Dennis.
po.
Anna here.
Okay.
Very, very wonderful story from you, but baka nagugutom na yung guest natin.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
so I think we need to hasten a little bit.
Sige, we'll wrap up.
Mm-hmm.
Sige. Mga 5 more minutes. So,
Thank you.
yun, I'll just, you're welcome po, Miss A. So I'll breeze through. Yun, strategy. Second is, you don't have to create your own strategy. Actually, you can just copy and then adapt, innovate mo lang. And then the third is, it's very important that you practice. And then as much as possible, do not settle for a week na wala kang activity within this business. 2 more tips that have worked for me, because you might be wondering, Dennis, paano mo siya ginawa? Kasi wala ka nga namang natural market. So I relied heavily on social media. And my tip is you have to be intentional. So my social media preference is Facebook. Primarily ginagawa ko siya. That's where I do my Philam Life postings. That's also what I use to chat with my clients. And I rely on it quite heavily. The other social media accounts that I have are meant for something else. So think about that. And then also now, because we are in the digital process, so I also utilize the digital tools. So yung number 1 tip ko dito would be research about your clients, right? Know what the profile of the prospect is that you intend to talk to. The good thing is kahit nasa bahay tayo, you guys actually can sell and can reach out. Just make sure that you utilize what's the app that your client is most comfortable with. Okay. So actually patapos na tayo. So you might be wondering, with all of those, what are some of my wins and milestones? Obviously, receiving awards and recognition within Philam Life, which I very much appreciate. The one thing to me na talagang pinagtrabahuan ko, because I wanted to attend the first MDRT Global Conference in Sydney. That was such a big experience for me, something that I'm not gonna forget, because I appreciate learning kasi. So the fact that there's a new idea and I get inspired, parang it fuels my soul. And then in addition to that, the other win that I have working with Philam Life is I've been able to expand my network. I'm able to learn from the best in the industry within financial advising. And believe this or not, I've actually been able to use my skills and knowledge set sa work ko. So now, in my work with Concentrix, nagagamit ko yung learnings ko within Philam Life, especially around negotiation, around how to listen to my client. And I'm also able to bring in the skill sets and knowledge within Concentrix to Philam Life, especially around how do I manage my schedule and how to multitask. So, those are some of the wins. On a personal note, and this is the third to the last slide, so we're really wrapping up. So I was earning well. I'm still earning well now, but I would actually give credit to Philam Life because, like what I said earlier, right? Na-meet ko ba yung target ko to have additional income stream? Obviously, yes. As a matter of fact, itong bahay to the left-hand side, which is colored white, we call her Daniela. She's our low-cost house in Bacolod, but the cost for the renovation was covered for entirely by my commission in Philam Life. So not the bahay, but the renovation. So I think first time ko itong i-share. And then yung the yellow house, that's we call her Carolina. So I remember telling Miss Nina na yung goal ko, I think, is to pay that off this year. And actually, dapat this is a 15-year loan sa bahay. So actually, tapos na siya. Obviously, I had income from Concentrix, but I'm also not gonna deny that Philam Life had a huge contribution also dun sa pagpapagawa ng bahay and even finishing up the loan. So There, not bad, right? Not bad at all. And then the other piece is really, helping my clients, like what my advocacy was in the beginning. So I've had 4 successful claims, and Jack, my secretary, is with me, helping me facilitate that. I develop genuine relationships with my clients. As you can see, medyo marami sila. Some of them become like parang really, really close friends. And then I also like raise financial awareness. And then I think in the end, also, really, I would say, just really making my family proud, my parents especially, and my siblings, like being a good role model for them. With my wife, I would say earning her respect some more, and this was us during the awarding. And then I think at the end of the day, really just proving to myself, not to anyone whatsoever, but just proving to myself that I can do it, that I can be unlimited. And to be unlimited, requires overcoming someone. And you know who that someone is? It's you, right? It's you versus you every day, always has been. So you just have to make that choice. With that, thank you for listening. And I turn it back to the hosts.